please, Mr. Baptiste.
Here.
Here.
Here. Here.
Here. Thank you. If you'd please stand for the invocation given by Mr. Smith.
Father in heaven, we come at this time giving you all glory, honor, and praise. Father God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for waking us up with a good portion of health and strength. Father God, we ask that you lead us in this meeting so that we can make sound decisions on behalf of the citizens of Port Arthur. Father God, we ask it all in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all. You've all received a copy of the meetings of the February 12th board meeting. The minutes. May I have
I move that we approve the minutes.
a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second to approve the minutes of the February 12th board meeting. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Do we have any presentations, communications?
When, going around, it came in late, guys, some communication. Can I deal with the communication that came in late Friday? Yeah. In fact, this communication is from AS Architectural Studio. On your agenda today is some a request to go out for a grant, and what we're trying to do is seek the service of AS Studio to provide us some services. And this is the proposal they submitted to us to provide those services. Madam, if you wish, Madam Chairman, I can go down to the agenda and deal with the grant application now, if you wish to.
Certainly, that's fine.
Okay. I think that's, what number is that? Item number 7. Item number 7, Ms. Holmes.
Item number 7, to discuss for possible consideration making application for an economic development administration grant.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chairman, at the workshop that we had at Lamar State College, we had an EDA representative out there, and I did reach out to the EDA representative and had several conversations on the phone with him. EDA have disaster funds, my understanding about $600 million for Texas, Florida, Puerto Rico, and California, and they're trying to, looking for projects to allocate this fund to. Currently, I'm working right now on an application, and I'm going to ask you guys permission to put in an application for the purchase of the Port Arthur News Building to create an incubator and an emergency management center. The building is about 43,000 square feet, and the fund's going to, 80% of the fund's going to come from this grant. That's what we're applying for, the grant. I'm asking, my application is asking about $2.4 million to retrofit that building. I have engaged with the architect studio, who is one of our attendants up here, to put some plans together as to what this thing can be if this thing happened. They submitted a proposal to us to do the work that we need to make the application a fixed fee of $5,000. If the board choose to move forward with the application, I'm asking this board to move forward I am recommending that the board also accept the proposal by Architect Studio. Questions?
I have a question. The other 20%, is that coming from the EDC or?
It would have to come from EDC, yes, sir. I would think that would be about $600,000. But we'd have a $40,000 active building in downtown Port Arthur. 40,000 square foot active building in downtown Port Arthur.
We would rent the emergency center to the city, or?
Yes, sir. In the application, I could go into it. In the application, we would actually be the owner. We would engage the SBDC as the provide the services. And also, I have in the application where Lamar State College Port Arthur would provide interns to provide administrative service like telephone, bookkeeping, marketing, all those things, accounting, all those things that small business need to be successful. But a lot of the work going to be done by Lamar, but we would manage the center.
You would manage the facility, and they would manage the
service.
Service.
Yes, ma'am.
So it would move. Well, I mean, this is a new
and expanded small businesses. Yes, ma'am.
So they would move their current small business?
Yes, ma'am. They would have a space. What we're proposing with the architect is that each space would contain about 450 square foot for a provider to provide service to a small business. And this is all contingent upon the grant. We feel very positive about it, though. I am in communication with EDA. I've had several conversations and meetings with the Regional Planning Commission, and feel very positive about it. It's just getting down writing it.
Oh, is this a collaborative grant?
It's an EDA grant for construction.
No, I know, but is it are we applying with the city and with Lamar, or are
No,
we
ma'am.
just applying for the grant?
Just EDA. I mean, EDC going to be the
Okay.
applicant.
And so we have agreements from the city and from Lamar that they would be willing to participate in?
There have been some discussion with the city for a management emergency center on the top floor.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's a great idea, because we talked about that in a meeting, that was something I think the city needs.
I have a question about it. Is there any particular limitations on the type of businesses that could possibly go in there? I mean, could they be manufacturing, small, or not?
We haven't gotten down to the policies and procedures of that yet. Right now, we're strictly dealing with the grant.
Well, with the emergency management center in there, I think that might have some other issues too, that you'd have to consider, I think.
I know you said you're dealing with the grant, but the cost to renovate that building,
We're estimating about $3 million. We're asking the EDA for $2.4 million.
Any other questions?
We go ahead and investigate it, and, both phases with the architect services studio and the grant.
Yes, he made the motion.
Oh, I'll second.
It's been moved and second to move forward in applying for the grant and requesting the services of an architect to provide information on what that would look like.
Thank you very much.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. We'll go back to the agenda items. There aren't any petitions or communications, Mr. Baptiste?
No,
Okay.
Joni, didn't we have some from the chamber?
No, the only one we had from the chamber was that state of education, and I sent that to you.
Which is Thursday
Right.
at noon?
So today was the cutoff for the reservation for
It's
that.
at noon?
I believe, I don't have it in front of me.
Buffet opens at 11:30, it starts at 10.
Okay, all right, all right. There's no unfinished business or consent agenda items. We'll move on to the non-consent agenda items to discuss for possible consideration approving a land purchase agreement for Highway 73 Business Park with KLV Ventures.
Yes, Madam Chairman, again, I want to apologize there on our part. Prior to taking this one, can we go to number 3? Sorry about that.
Certainly may. We're going to number 3 because it relates to number 1.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, right. To discuss for possible consideration of professional service agreement with Arsenal Wilson and Cole for engineering a
No,
drainage.
Number 3.
Number 3.
Oh, I'm sorry. To discuss for possible consideration the price of land at Highway 73 Business Park.
Yes, Madam Chairman, Commissioners, some time ago, this board voted to sell this property, and I have attached in your folder, in your file, they voted to sell this property at $1.72 per square foot. I did not recall that. I have always gone with the numbers that I had on my computer, which was $1.52. We did sell this property to KLV Venture at $1.52, and I recommend that we not go back, but I just wanted to establish that we did error, and Crystal found some notes where the board did voted on selling this thing at $1.72 instead of $1.52. I think Ms. Holmes, at that time, Guy was on the board, and Ms. Holmes did a research, and she came up with $1.72, and the board did vote on this thing. But,
Holmes.
but when I came to you guys, what I had was in my computer, and the board approved KLV at $1.52, and I asked that the board maintain that $1.52 for KLV, but in the future we'll go back to what it's supposed to be.
If we
My
did it-
mistake.
If we did it, we need to stand behind it. It's a previous board, but,
Well, it's not the board mistake, it's my mistake.
okay.
You know, because I was looking at this spreadsheet instead of going back to some minutes and to the established price of the board. I just want you guys to know I did make the mistake and try to correct the error. But in the future land will be sold at $1.72 instead of $1.52. Guy, is there anything else I could say today? Hold my hands up.
Mike?
Or those that were on the board, there was a lot of debate. The original total cost of the property was spread out over the acreage on a per square foot basis, and we were not receiving any contracts for any portion of the property. So the board asked Ms. Holmes, and she did gather on behalf of the board some information relative to the cost and presented some different scenarios to the board, and the board ended up lighting at the 172 number, but the 152 had been discussed, and I'm not sure if there was a motion made on that and it failed for a second. I'd have to go back to the minute, but I do remember both numbers were discussed, but the board did light on the 172, and Floyd reminded us as well about that after the discussions had been ongoing with Mr. Vernon and KLV. But we agree that the board did enter into it is, I think we need to realize this, while it may have been a mistake, you have the right to sell the property what you deem to be appropriate in light of the fact that this particular individual is also bringing in some value and jobs creation. So the fact that, that the price has not been exactly what it was listed in the last agenda item of the board from some years ago, to K&I is not critical, because you all are in the ability to make those decisions based upon the particular person presenting it. And while we've tried to stay online, I'm not concerned here, and the board can leave the price at 172 and after this, and if we get another purchase proposal, we can revisit this at that time, because we have a price that we're selling it for per square foot. Somebody may come in and offer us something different. So I'd say we just want to make sure that we're ratifying this at 172, but that does not affect the previously agreed upon contract with KLV.
We have to rescind something because it was, no?
No, you don't have to rescind anything. You have a price. We're just simply ratifying that price that was there and proceeding. And that price was the 172 per square foot. Just simply ratifying that and bringing it to the attention of the board for any future contracts that might come our way.
Make a motion that we accept the price that Mr. Baptiste had originally spoke with the individual on it.
And the future price will be sold at $1.72.
It's been moved in second to agree to the original discussion with Mr. Vernon, and in the future, the property will be considered at 172. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Okay, we're going to try this one more time. Agenda item number 1, to discuss for possible consideration approving a land purchase agreement for Highway 73 Business Park with KLV Ventures.
Yes, Madam Chairman, Commissioner, I'm going to yield to Kate.
At your last meeting, y'all approved loan documents, a loan agreement, a note, and a deed of trust. And we realized after the fact that we also needed a purchase agreement for the land. And so we prepared a purchase agreement, which is the standard purchase agreement that the EDC uses for all of its land sales. It states the price. It's approximately $197,000 for the approximately about 2.8 acres. And also at your last meeting, if you guys remembered, y'all authorized changing the loan term from 7 years to 9 years. So the new loan agreement reflects that as well, and the amount and when the loan repayment will start. So that's what this agenda item is. We're still working on the legal description to get it just right. We've been working with Arsenault, Wilson, and Cole, and we do have that. So whenever we send it over to council, we'll have the correct legal description on there. So that's what this agenda item is asking you guys to approve.
I want to add one thing, and this is, again, the best laid plans and good intentions leading us to where. Floyd worked tirelessly several years ago to make certain that we met the City of Port Arthur's road construction requirements, and that we put in the complete street. Actually, we were not going to do it completely as and the city convinced us to do so. We went through a naming procedure, and the difficulty is that preliminary plat of the roadway, Martin Flood Drive, never was taken through the city process to a final plat. So Kate has drafted for this transaction a road access agreement, because at this point that 1.2-ish acres that's in the Martin Flood roadway is still in the name of the EDC, as is the other 3+ acres we're not selling. So we need to give Mr. Vernon and his business tenants road access until the city can finalize the plat. Arsenal Wilson Cole has gotten back on that project and will be moving forward, restarting from the preliminary plat process through a final plat and acceptance of the street. We are very confident that the roadway meets all of the city Port Arthur construction requirements. So now it is simply them going out, probably re-inspecting, and then going through the platting process, which again, Floyd, I did not ask Joe or anyone over there how long that process would take, but it probably will take a few months to get it into the road system, but we don't have any reason to believe that that won't happen because the city has been a good business partner with us in our other business parks, accepting those roadways because we always do construct them to their standards.
And for new board members, when we build these roads, we turn over the road. Once we complete it, we turn the road over to the city. And Joni did some investigation on Martin Flood and Elrich Drive. And back in 2010, we did submit a resolution to the council to accept these two roads, but for some reason, something didn't happen. So we're going to go back and send another resolution at next council meeting for the council to accept those roads. And from there, Kate, I guess we could finalize this thing.
We can, if you want, we can just go ahead and execute the access agreement, and then while we're waiting for the city, he'll have access to his piece of property.
We have a mo-
I move we go ahead with that.
To approve agenda item number 1.
Right.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second to approve agenda item number 1. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Item number 2, to discuss for possible consideration a professional service agreement with Arsenal, Wilson and Cole for engineering a drainage master plan for Jade Avenue Business Park.
Yes, Madam Chairman, Commissioners, a couple of years ago, you guys purchased an additional 141 acres of land on Jade Avenue. We're about to start the landscaping of that park, and after Harvey, I thought that it would be in our best interest that we engage the engineers to do a drainage study to make sure that water don't stay there. You know. So I'm asking this board to engage the architect to do a drainage master plan for that 140 acres so that it won't be flooding in the future.
Any comments?
If we go ahead with it?
Second.
It's been moved and second to approve an agreement with Arsenal, Wilson and Cole for an engineering drainage master plan. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Agenda item number 4, to discuss for possible consideration a lease agreement with Nathan Rivers for second floor office space, 501 Proctor.
Yes, Madam Chairman and Commissioners, Mr. Rivers have requested to lease 2 space on the second floor, Suite 201 and 202, and we're asking you guys for your approval.
Move we approve.
Can I have a motion? It's been moved and second to approve. I'm sorry. I lost my page. I was reading something else. To approve agenda item number 4. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Agenda item number 5, to discuss for possible consideration a lease agreement with Support Operation Services for second floor office space at 501 Proctor.
Yes, Commissioner and Madam Chairman, Support Operations Services have made a request to lease office space 203 on the second floor. Ask for you guys' approval.
Have a motion?
Approve.
Second?
Second.
It's been moved and second to approve agenda item number 5. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion carries. Agenda item number 6, to discuss for possible consideration and economic incentive for infrastructure for Joe's Shopping Plaza.
Yes, Madam Chairman and Commissioners. Last board meeting, Joe's Shopping Plaza came to you guys with an infrastructure requesting some incentive from you guys. This week, if you look at his application is completed. Attached, I have given you guys a breakdown of the infrastructure that's take place in that particular project. And also, there is a schematic or drawing of where this is gonna happen. I think this is phase 1 of the development. Okay. And I think the question I have for Mr. Will this infrastructure provide services for all 3 phases or just for this phase 1? Just phase 1. So some addition.
This in particular is just for phase 1, but the access, we won't have to run all the way through Jimmy Johnson again, all the infrastructure costs. So this will absorb a lot of the costs for phase 2, 3, and 4, because the lines would be a lot closer. So, I mean, you could say yes, it will help towards the phase 2, 3, and 4, but not completely.
Joe's Plaza is requesting $426,456. I'm recommending $350,000 toward infrastructure costs.
Sorry, how much did?
He requested $426,456. I'm recommending $350,000 toward it for infrastructure costs.
I got a question. You said that the amount that you're asking for will do phase 1, 2, and 3?
No, sir. Well, the amount we're requesting is just for phase 1 in particular, with all the infrastructure costs for phase 1. But once we get to phase 2 and phase 3, the infrastructure costs would be a lot less due to the fact that the infrastructure is a lot closer, you know, groundwork and all that, plumbing and all that. We don't have any plumbing lines, no water taps on that side of Jimmy Johnson at all. So now that the lines are there and the taps are there, once we get to phase 2, the taps and the lines are already there. So
Does that mean you're coming back?
no, sir. I mean, it's not in, no, sir. I'm not planning on coming back. Not in the plans, but, you know, if we did ever come back, or, you know, we sold that property and somebody else was to come back or something, but we're not in, I mean, how we're doing phase 1 is strictly for phase 1 of my project.
How much land are you using for phase 1?
For phase 1, right at an acre.
Okay, and you have 5 acres?
I have total 5 acres, yes.
Where does the golf course get their water?
Golf course, I'm not sure. I know we're having to come all the way across from Jimmy Johnson.
You're having to go under Jimmy Johnson, right?
Yes, sir. What's that?
I mean, do they have a well? Do you know? I mean,
The golf course?
yeah.
I'm not sure if they have a well or not. I didn't look into that. I just know through my engineering and everything that he said we are going to have to burrow across Jimmy Johnson for lines.
One concern that I have is that there's a lot of empty retail space out there right now.
Yes, sir. But I mean, we've been, like I said, we've been doing this. I've been doing this forever with my dad. Our record shows it. You know, all the businesses that we already brought to Port Arthur, to Beaumont. When we started developing Beaumont on College Street, everybody was like, "Why are they doing that? That's not going to succeed." You look at all our strip centers on College Street, and what people would say is not the good parts of town, and everything's 100% successful. Everything's 100% occupied, and you know, it's this. Everywhere we jump, we get it done. And you can mark my word, we're going to be at 100% occupied before the building even finishes. And as of right now, we're about 40%. So, I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with our strip centers in Beaumont, or no, Mars Shopping Plaza, Mike's Shopping Plaza. I mean, we got the Sam Seafood on Memorial. You know, nothing we have, and whether it's in Port Arthur or Beaumont, is vacant. So we got all the contacts, connects, and, you know, you'll be impressed.
Commissioner Smith, to kind of answer your question, what he's saying is they're bringing the water line closer to the development, so they have to cross Jimmy Johnson. They won't have to do it at phase 2 and 3, because they're going to do it phase 1. And all they're going to have to do is connect to phase 1 for the rest of the project. So it'd be less expensive.
So what is phase 2 and 3?
Well, phase 2 and 3 is just, it's nothing that we're 100% on doing yet, but I do plan on, once I build this one out, rent it out completely at 100%, I do plan on going with a phase 2, because I still have 4 more acres that are empty right there. So I want to develop that whole area right there.
Develop with what?
With strip centers, whether it's standalone pad sites, just depends on what all I can get in that area. So whether it's a standalone restaurant, it just depends. But I do have big plans for that whole area, you know, to get it all developed, the whole 5 acres. And whether it's me or whether I sell it to a restaurant, a big franchise, or whoever it is, you know, so we do have big plans, and we, you know, to develop that whole 5 acres.
Any other questions?
I did want to say, since this is an infrastructure incentive, as y'all have done in the past, you have to make findings of fact, just that the incentive will bring additional business enterprises to you guys. And as y'all remember, usually whenever you approve the actual incentive, there's an attachment with your findings of fact that you'll make before. So I just wanted to let you know, you can go ahead and approve, if the board wishes, Floyd's recommendation, and then next meeting, whenever the incentive is closer to being final, you guys will make your findings of fact. The local government code just requires that in infrastructure incentives, and I'm sure old board members, y'all remember that.
And Kate's right, and what Kate is saying, new board members, on infrastructure, it has to be 2 or more. Cannot be 1. It has to be 2 or more businesses, and you have to show that it's going to expand or increase private enterprise. We cannot fund just 1 building. We have to fund 2 different buildings, 2 or more
Businesses.
businesses.
I'll make a motion to move forward with the recommended amount.
Along that strip right now, there's being something built. Is that your?
Yes, sir, that's me.
Okay. That's part of phase 1.
That's part of phase 1. But that's just the dirt work,
Right.
just the dirt work so far.
Okay.
A motion on the floor. Is there a second? Is there a second to the motion? Motion fails for lack of a second.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Agenda item number 8, to discuss for possible consideration closing of the incentive agreement with the Olive Packing Company.
Yes, Madam Chairman and Commissioners, this board entered into an agreement with Olive Packing back in 2014, and we granted those folks $139,194 for equipment. They were supposed to produce wages. They produced the wages that we asked for, $1,000,000 $59,604.90, and they've met all the conditions of their contract, and we're asking you guys to close it.
You've heard the action item. Is there a motion?
So move.
Make a motion.
You second.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. We'll move forward. There being no other agenda items, we'll move forward to reports. Marketing and business.
Good evening.
Good evening.
A while ago, you guys approved to move forward with a deal with KFDM, Sinclair Broadcasting, and I just wanted to let you guys know that it went live on February 21st, and so I don't have a full report like as far as analytics are concerned, but hopefully next month I will have a report that will kind of give a breakdown of the actual states that we're in for business recruitment. Also, getting started on the 2018 newsletter, just kind of jotted down a few things that we plan on highlighting this year. Of course, the microloan, employment and training, the new projector screen here, and of course, our second floor build out, just to get started. There's just a few things that we will highlight in the 2018 newsletter. Also, I put out a chamber map. We actually did a deal with the chamber where we actually had the back side and the chamber has the front side, but if you open it up, it's a whole map of the whole Golden Triangle area. And I feel like it was important to partake in this because anytime you have a company or any type of business coming to your area, they actually visit the chamber or they visit the Economic Development Corporation. So it kind of gives them insight on our Golden Triangle, as well as businesses that we actually have and businesses that partook in this particular map. And then at the bottom, you kind of have like different advertisers, of course, ourselves, as well as Hayes Real Estate, Energy Rental Solutions, as well as Versa and Golden Pass LNG. So I thought this was a good way to kind of get our name out there. And then they also have a little write-up on the EDC as well. So, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions for Renata?
Oh, also, I wanted to mention before I sit down, promotional items. Mr. Stickley, I thought about you. I actually have a meeting on Wednesday with Classic Forms, and it's that time of the year again where we're going to order promotional items. And one thing is like the sanitizers. You guys probably got one at the summit. Those went across really, really well. We're also going to think about looking into some mugs as well as some other great promotional items just to promote Port Arthur. So when we're out and about, whether it be traveling, whether it be something local, we're always within arm's reach, and everybody can actually say, okay, Port Arthur EDC, they're here, we can go talk to them. Just kind of keep it in front of the customer and the people that want to do business.
Operational report, Mr. Baptiste.
I give you guys, what Crystal had to go home earlier today about, I think she was ill, sometimes she's ill. I can't give you, I can tell you what she and I have been working on. We have met with the plant manager of both Valero and Chevron. There will probably be a luncheon, I am being told, in March, where they will bring their subcontractors, where we could sit down and talk to the subcontractors and start the process of putting Port Arthur folks to work. We have also had some extensive discussion with ABC Training, Kimberly and the folks over at ABC, where industry is providing $100,000 for any Port Arthur resident that want to go through a 9 weeks training. When they complete that 9 weeks, they will be able to obtain a NCCER and be attached to one of those subcontractors. So there's a process that we're working on. It's getting bigger than I thought it would be. Right now we have 3 plants and hopefully in the next 2 months you're going to see a lot of folks being trained to go to work in industrial plants. We also have met with LNG guy. What's his name? Robert. Robert is working hard and trying to provide training for Port Arthur resident. I think sometime next week or is it next week? They will have a resume writing, interviewing skill at Lamar University for Port Arthur resident. It's just a lot of work going on with employment and training, and I think industry is buying into this thing, and it's getting to be bigger than I expected it to be. So I guess we'll come back and let you guys know where we are in a couple of months. But it's moving. Question?
Any questions? Financial report, Rachel?
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
The numbers for this month didn't change very much from the previous month. Just a couple of changes, of course, the expenditures, but our expected revenue, our projected revenue is still $3,758,166. Our current economic development expenditures is $1,066,834, which leaves us an excess of revenue over by $2,691,332. The transfer out did not change for this month. The city haven't posted anything for this month yet, so it's still the same as it was last month. The net change in fund balance is $2,058,493. Our fund balance at the beginning of the year was $7,647,067. Our fund balance at the end of the year is a projected $9,705,560. Our current year remaining budget is $5,014,979, with projected end of the year budget of $4,690,581. Our projected additional sales tax revenue, $2,318,134. Projected end of fund balance for the year beginning fiscal year 2018, $7,008,715. If you turn to the next page, you'll see the actual expenditures, which will break down by line item the amounts that makes up the $1,066,000. And also, when you get to the actual sales tax, there is no change from the previous month. Sales tax has not been posted yet. Now, the last part, Mr. Baptiste will take over.
I want to say this is very confidential. And I just want to show you guys, these are the top 10 taxpayers in this community. Guys, the top 10 taxpayers year to date. It will show you 1 through 10. The next report I ran for you guys is a report the top retailers in our community, and this is on as of March 1st. This has all come from the state controller. So it tells you where our money's coming from, and I could drill down a lot deeper, but I just want to show you guys some type of reports that I'll be looking at to see where it tells us if a business is doing good or bad, and which businesses are doing good, which one's doing bad. But but this is confidential.
Floyd, when does our year start? What's our year?
October to September 30. October 1 to September 30.
Thanks.
there any questions? No. All right, thank you. That concludes my report.
The only thing I would say is that so a lot of things going on outside of economic development. A lot of this stuff is hurricane recovery, and it's hurricane recovery. It's we have met with FEMA. We have met with GLO. I've met with, in fact, I think it was on the 8th. We're meeting with. What's the name of the organization, Ms. Holmes? Michael Dale. Rebuild Texas. Rebuild Texas. Rebuild Texas. I think we're going to meet with them on the 8th over here. Met with EDA. You know, it's just trying to recover. And it's just a lot of information out there. It's very time consuming. As I said earlier, and I certainly appreciate you guys allowing me to go forward with this grant. I feel very positive and confident that we're going to get the money, and hope to see a new building in downtown Port Arthur. We are also working with the National Development Council on another project that is confidential right now, that's dealing with hurricane recovery money. That if that happens, you will see another big addition to this part of town. You know? It's just hurricane recovery, guys. Thank you. That's all I have, Madam Home.
Okay, at this time, we'll announce a closed session. A closed meeting on executive session will be held pursuant to the following sections of Chapter 551 Texas Government Code. Section 551.071, 72, 74, and 087. At this time, we'll move to executive session.
They're about to get this thing done. Did you hear the part about where the city hadn't accepted the road in it? So they're going to do that access. No, it's, you know, we went looking.
Headache. And when I got here, I was re-looking, and I'm like, oh, I have to tell Jeremy, do not send that. Right. So just
Always
put-
do that.
I'll send
Always
it
wait
to-
till the resolution.
Yeah. I'll send.
Okay, so I gotta go. I'll see you later.
No, I hate when I do that.
Funny when I did that, I was trying to figure out when we were voting on your
It's all good. I understand. Yeah, I seen Twitter.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. So I was just I was with the architect. I'm gonna build a event center on that land. We're gonna build a event center.
All that's what we're gonna do?
We're gonna have some parking for the trucks. We're gonna have
This
some
is yours, right? The one here.
It's gonna be. I'm talking. It's gonna look. It won't look the same as Beaumont, but we're gonna be nice. And we may have the prices.
Wow.
It's gonna be 12,000 square feet inside.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm working with Ayla. We're putting it together. We did our drawings and all that already. So we're about to. I gotta cut him a check, and we're gonna have the renderings over the next couple of weeks.
Wow.
So it's gonna be.
All right.
All right. I will.
not like this month could get crazier. With Orangefield and then Meeker, they want to go out for an RFQ for general engineering. Charlie Adam,
Just for,
general services.
oh, this is not for FEMA.
Thank goodness, no, but I'm just gonna still use that Orange County one that we tweaked that has all the FEMA stuff, because I mean, it's good to go ahead and have those 12 additional pages.
Yeah, we just did a general Texas-based RFQ for Hinewood.
Okay, I'll look at that one. Yeah, they don't have an engineer, and Charlie's telling them there's like a fast food with Fuel Max coming, and there's another residential place coming next to Diamond Ranch. There's about to be a bunch of expansion.
Don't forget, they do go all the way over the freeway.
Yeah, so,
Freeway to highway down here.
yeah, so they want, and they called today saying that they needed help because they've never gone out, which it won't take that long to get those documents prepared.
I'd like to reconvene the March 5th meeting of the Port Arthur EDC. May I have a roll call, please?
Here.
Yeah.
Here.
Here.
Thank you, Mr. Baptiste. There being no other items for, yes, sir?
One more, dear, sorry, Ms. Holmes. Those of you who did not provide us with the back of your financials, I'd like to get that before y'all leave.
Being no further items for action,
Move the meeting be adjourned.
it's been moved and second to adjourn the meeting. Have a good month. We'll see you in April. And see
The day
those.
after Easter, right?
That's right, the day after Easter. And for those of you who are going to the Port Arthur Education Foundation luncheon, we'll see you there on Thursday. That's it.
Easter, everybody.
That's it. That's it. That's it.
All right.